Hey, survivor of the apocalypse, this is Paul Sading, creator of Atheist Apocalypse. We've got some great news. We're very proud to announce that Atheist Apocalypse, this beloved audio drama you're listening to, can now be found on iHeartRadio. That's right, iHeartRadio has picked up our audio drama, and we're absolutely thrilled. And we couldn't have done it without all of you who've taken the time to fall in love with these silly characters and the lunacy that happens around the Tri-Counties. Everyone at Atheist Apocalypse wants to thank you for your support that helped us reach this goal of getting onto iHeartRadio. I want to encourage you to hang out at the end of the episode for a very important message about this season, Season 2, where Atheist Apocalypse changes the way audio drama is done. Before we get to the episode, I just want to thank you for your download, your listen, and your support. If you have a minute, please go over to your podcatcher, iTunes, Stitcher, or iHeartRadio, and leave us a rating, give us a heart, love us, help others find the show. We would greatly appreciate it. Now let's get into the fun.
This is Jake from KUSA 9 News at 9, and this episode is sponsored by Bad Bunny, providing custom clothes, lingerie, and accessories for badasses. Each item is artist-made start to finish, from the design of the fabric or pattern, to the handmade creation of designs like the dinosaur bone undies, unicorn pasties, teeth print dresses, and a ton more. Bad Bunny is here to fulfill your need for unique, spooky, creepy, sexy, and nerdy handmade fashion. The Bad Bunny herself offered up 5% for you survivors. Just enter the coupon code UNCHOSEN at checkout. Find her shop at etsy.com/shop/badbunnyshop. On Facebook at facebook.com/badbunnyart, and on Instagram at badbunnyshop.
I'm Andrew from the Dracarium, and all of us from CelebrateGeek.com have survived the apocalypse. Well, we still can't find Will, but we're optimistic he'll turn up.
Welcome to Atheist Apocalypse, a fictional comedy podcast for a reason. All of the characters you are about to meet are fictional and do not represent real people, except when they do. Either way, we welcome you to the show and would like to encourage you to head over to atheistapocalypse.com for more information about the show, as well as details on how you can contribute to help keep the lights on. After all, this is the apocalypse, and we could definitely use all the help we can get. Thank you!
Welcome, listeners, to KUSA 9 News at 9. As always, I'm Jake Leminski, and you found your one and only source for discourse. Beatrice will be joining us in a little while. It appears she got held up at one of the new checkpoints recently established by the MGE to verify citizens are complying with the Oneness Initiative. I haven't had any such problems myself. After all, I'm a straight white male. I was born into compliance. While we're waiting on Beatrice to actually do her job, I thought we might cover some updates of activities in the Tri-Counties. Yesterday in Logan's Grove, that bastion of understanding and blind-eyed tolerance, there was a gathering of people who demanded to finally know the names of the candidates running for the office of Supreme Chancellor. Well, news finally broke that all of the candidates have chosen to leave the Tri-Counties, forfeiting their claim to the elected seat. We attempted to get some background into the cause of this mass exodus, but pretty much like that other exodus story, officials pretended like it never actually happened. I don't lay that at the feet of any of our unelected representatives of the MGE, though. Tyler was sent over to the Capitol by station management and, as usual, came back empty-handed.
I spent 6 hours up there trying to get someone to tell me how any of them were able to leave the Tri-Counties. Every single person I asked just kept quoting Indiana Jones. They kept saying, "Only the penitent man shall pass," over and over again.
And I gather we won't be getting any follow-up news on the impact of the positive graffiti either, will we, Tyler? I'm not surprised.
Jake, stop talking! Listeners, we've got urgent breaking news you'll definitely want to hear.
Oh, so nice to see you, B. It's totally not a coincidence that you happen to get through the checkpoint right after Tyler reappears.
Up your turd cutter! silver spoon boy.
My spoon was as golden as my voice.
Seriously, shut it, you two. This news must be addressed. Listeners of the Tri-Counties need to know the government has stopped working.
Oh, sure. Like that's a thing.
I am gonna staple your lips to your inner thigh.
Ha! If my lips could reach my inner thigh, I wouldn't need that grinder thingy on my phone. It's really neat, but I wonder why they're not a sponsor of the show.
Hush it, Jake. And gross. The Tri-Counties doesn't have time for your silliness right now. We know that months ago, various political hopefuls moved into the area to run for the office of Supreme Chancellor of the mysterious government entity, though the MGE isn't officially our government.
You can't say that. They might be listening. I'm pretty sure they're listening. Besides, for all you know, I could be part of the MGE.
Jake, if I have to tell you again to shut up, you're really gonna see what it's like to taste an estrogen bomb.
Gross.
Got it, buddy? Listeners, those very same hopefuls are now taking part in one of the most astonishing things I have ever seen in all my years of covering political news.
What are you, 28? Maybe 30? You can't possibly have that much experience in covering or even understanding political news.
1,527 featured stories say otherwise, pal. I did have a career before I came to the Tri-Counties, you know. Anyway, the astonishing news I've been trying to get to is that all of the hopefuls have stepped out of the darkness and into the public forum. We now know the identities of all 411 candidates from over 37 parties who are running for the office of Supreme Chancellor.
Good thing Americans only care about 2 parties. Seriously, who can be bothered with all those other attention seekers? Give an American 2 choices. Nothing more. We don't like having to think. Or research. I mean, reading is really boring.
The only realistic hopefuls for the office are the 8 candidates from the 2 major parties, but that isn't the story. The real story was the straw man and ad hominem mania at the Capitol. It seems in the post-rapture world, being religious is a very important thing for politicians to be, what with the way they were acting throughout the day. They took posturing and posing to an entirely new level, enough to put teen sensations and boy bands to shame. Of course, as is typical in politics, once everyone started publicizing their personal faith, the slings and arrows started flying. The chambers of the Capitol building was filled with childish insults as everyone attempted to outfaith the other in a bid to appeal to the voter base.
Now, you don't know that for sure.
We were there.
Hearsay.
I was there.
Conjecture.
We've got audio.
It's all about the he said, she said bullshit. I think you better quit making stuff.
It was like watching a horde of simpletons play verbal king of the hill as they tried to create the most pompous statements of belief they possibly could, all while undermining the attempts of the other political hopefuls to do the same.
Meh. As long as the men of faith, they've gotten my vote. Whoever takes the nomination.
Well, we can't be sure anyone is going to win anything if this bile keeps being spewed. But there are positives coming out of the Tri-Counties today. In other news, as strange as this may sound, we actually have a developing tech industry base blooming here in our home. Longtime listeners will know all about our burgeoning homeopathic industry, and now we can add a burgeoning Silicon Valley to that, it seems.
That's correct. A local engineer has made an impressive start to his entrepreneurial career. Jasper Wilkins has been plugging along, working for the state, inspecting bridges and dams in and around Sunrise Peaks. Until recently, that is. Early last year, Jasper got sick of working for a highly dysfunctional, archaic, and myopic organization such as the state. If you're listening, his words, not mine, MGE. Though I know you're always listening. And decided to launch his 3D printing company, No Seriously, This Is Real, Inc., with the hopes of filling a void in the international marketplace for those global communities without the basic necessities of life.
Instead of fulfilling that dream, though, Jasper was offered a lucrative government contract and ironically accepted it. Details have been sketchy for months now, as his company was busy trying to meet the delivery deadline set by the government, only to find himself without an end user for his creation once the rapture happened. And that is when he took his product public. Well, sort of. He's basically selling only to the Tri-Counties since getting out is proving much more difficult than getting in.
Difficult, but not impossible, B. I had a lovely vacation in the islands, remember? You just have to have faith. And connections. And money. And a blood ritual.
What was that?
It paints a visual, doesn't it? I mean, the type of man you need to be post-rapture.
I don't think I want to be that type of person.
Well, I said man be. You're a woman. You're missing vital genitalia. Listeners, we are fortunate enough to be the only market in the market for No Seriously This Is Real Inc.'s first 3D printed product.
And you'll never guess what it is. The great mystery. The ludicrously large federal contract, all to develop 3D printed...
paper! That's right, you fortunate miscreants. We are the sole beneficiaries of Jasper's creation and can consume all the 3D paper we want. No more worries about waste. No more environmental concerns for those whiny Greenpeace idlers. Nope. All the paper we could ever want, that we could ever use, is now ours.
Jake, you do know that there is waste and material consumption in 3D printing, right?
Nope, there's not.
Exactly how do you think...
Because he's European, Fabrice can probably help Beatrice understand how 3D printing works. Let's see what he has for us.
Oh, thank you. So good to be back again and to be getting paid to do these silly segments.
Thanks?
So, the Tri-Counties is getting 3D printing. You must all be so proud of yourselves. Here in France, we have nothing like that because we simply don't have a need for it. We are tactile people. We enjoy touching things, stroking things, prodding things, penetrating things. Leave it up to Americans to use a machine to create something that mankind once created with his hands. This is why you're all obese, you know this, right? I've never been to the Tri-Counties, and thankfully, as long as fax machines are working, the station management can keep sending me contract requests so that I'll never have to fly in if you ever repair your runway. But I don't need to see the people of the Tri-Counties to know that they're less healthy than certain corpulent, copywritten characters out of Star Wars Eminence. But I'm not going to bother analyzing a backwards culture like the Tri-Counties. So here's my top 5 list of things the Tri-Counties would place 3D printing orders for. Number 5. Jesus figurines. Number 4. Wall-mounted crucifixes. Number 3. Bust of Elvis. Numero 2. Enough barbecue to put the pig industry out of business. That's a fat joke in case you didn't get it. And numero 1. Fast-loading high-capacity scope-sighted rifles. You know, I'm surprised that one of you geniuses hasn't decided to have 3D printers start printing 3D printers yet. Morons. Now stop bothering me, you lazy Americans.
Fabrice, wait.
Bye, Fabricia.
Hey!
Well, let's leave these two lovebirds alone to discuss Beatrice's obvious infatuation with Fabrice that Tyler seems to have just picked up on. Max and Andy, can you help Beatrice out of this sticky situation?
We want nothing to do with Beatrice and Tyler's sticky behaviors. That's gross. Max, hand me the sanitizer. Today, as promised, we will reveal the secret behind the Q33 conspiracy.
Wingdings, created by Microsoft and distributed as a font for children to try and indoctrinate them to no longer be able to see the patterns in the fabric like people such as Andy and myself have done for ages. The attempt failed, and Wingdings were widely ignored, or so they thought. An inside man, whose name has never been revealed, left clues in the font to warn future generations.
This font was released in the 90s. Go ahead. Type Q33 with the Wingdings subfont. We will wait. Picture of an airplane flying towards Twin Towers. The flight number of one of those planes was Q33NY, sources tell us. In Wingdings, that shows us a plane, a tower, another tower, and a skull and crossbones, followed by the Star of David. What more evidence do we need? Of course, the mainstream media won't be talking about it.
We've been in contact with the institute that is holding Artie. We are trying to get him released into our custody. We believe with what he's been going through, he is a prime candidate for our precog division the bunker engineers are working on.
It's no easy task, but it will be worth it. We feel that Artie has been visited, and he is in the prime mental state for us to find out what he knows and influence how he thinks.
Thoughts and prayers, please. We know you're watching. No, we are watching back. I've been asked to send it over to our favorite medium, Venice. Namaste, Venice.
Thank you, boys. You did receive my reservation request, right? The internet is so unreliable with Cosmere around. Hello, my lovelies. So the government has stopped working? Here on Warbler Mountain, we thought it best to do what we can do to help. So we are having a massive healing cleanse. We are all up on the penthouse roof and doing everything we can to encourage the government to start working again. Yogi Brahma is trying to collectively balance the chakras of the MGE. Mystic Minnie is trying to cleanse their auras, and Biff and Gary are holding a healing drum circle under the arbor. There's a sage fire over in the opposite corner being tended by Yogi Brahma's cute blonde friend, and Anja is howling his mantra into the group's Skype session for doggies to help them attune the MGE's vibrations. It's just so exciting. But even more amazing is the new member of our community, Owari. He came to the Yuga studio just the other day and told Yogi Brahma that we would be needing him and that he was here to fulfill his destiny. He said that God was here with us and that Owari was the one true prophet who could commune with God. Yogi Brahma called me in a tizzy and brought Owari right over. Owari told us that he came from the planet Dorator in a distant galaxy, and that, as a Hydro prophet, he was the only one left to talk to God. That's when he told us that God is water. I have to say, Biff and I were a little skeptical at first, though Gary immediately began offering to massage Owari's feet with hemp lotion. Owari wasn't fazed and told us he needed to talk to God right away. He went straight to the giant waterbed and prostrated himself at the base of the steps. After a few moments, he arose and leapt onto the center of the bed, almost propelling himself right off the wave he created. Owari began to make a guttural humming noise, vibrating himself and creating a rippling wave on the waterbed. We were just amazed. He's been over there riding the ripples for over an hour. But we figured one can't just rush a conversation with God. We are confident that we'll have the government back to work in no time. So, I'd best get back at it. Horace has just emerged to let me know that the pop brownies are ready. So, I'd better get them before they burn. I really wish he would develop some corporeal mass and make himself more useful. Oh well, until next time, my lovelies, remember that the truth is whatever makes you happy, and reality is whatever we believe it to be. Namaste.
Thank you again, Venice. Now, we've got a call on the hotline again. Let's hope this one is a little more appropriate. I'm still not okay with us playing these conversations on the air.
Hippa shippa. Let's ratchet up the juiciness of the broadcast. This is where you press play, Tyler. How many years did you go to school? Seriously.
Your call may have been forgotten, so please continue to hold tenaciously. Someone will eventually remember that you are on hold.
Welcome to the KUSA 9 News at 9 Emergency Hotline, where everything is an emergency, unless it isn't. This is Derek. Can I have your name, location, and nature of your emergency?
Yeah, hi again, Doc. This is Willie. Been a good 2 weeks for you?
What can I do for you, Willie?
I need a technician to come out to the house, please.
We don't have technicians, Willie. I can try and find someone who'll dispatch police, fire, maybe paramedics, but we don't have any technicians. Even if we did, I wouldn't be sending them out to you. I'm not a dispatcher, remember? Maybe if you tell me what's going on, I can get you the help you need.
Great! Whoever can help me with this blockage, send them.
Willie, if you're feeling a blockage, you need to call 911 or get yourself to a hospital. Are you experiencing any chest pain, shortness of breath? What exactly is going on?
Blockage, Doc. Aren't you listening? My 3D printer is blocked.
What?
Yeah, can you believe it? I just bought this thing. You should have seen the Camaro I had to hawk in order to buy this stupid printer too. Let me tell you, I'm not happy. I mean, literally, it blocked up the first time I put some paper in it.
Wait, 3D printers don't use paper. Okay, you know what? I'm hanging up, Willie.
Wait, Doc, my printer!
Thanks, Doc, for helping that troubled young man. I swear, it is sad to see the state of the world, but that's what happens when you take God out of the schools. Which is why it's good the MGE is here to ensure we have as much security as we possibly can in a time like this.
The problem is that we aren't sure just how stable things are. The games played between politicians are starting to have a real impact on the world, whereas residents of the Tri-Counties could tolerate or even ignore the pathetic positioning of grown people needing to express their preference of archaic superstitions. Many of you will not be able to ignore the very real impact these politicians are having. Politicians who can't be bothered to work together in an effort for us, the people they're supposed to serve.
Word out of the Capitol is that... Wait, archaic superstitions? Really, Beatrice? I'm gonna have to introduce you to my god, off-air. He's shiny and new, and not archaic at all. I mean, he rides a Harley, for God's sakes. Now, word out of the Capitol is that funding streams were disrupted when the conflict between election hopefuls fighting to become Supreme Chancellor spilled over into individual branches and offices. Even secretaries were battling it out amongst themselves in what can only be described as federal celebrity death matches.
Let us be clear, listeners. No one was actually killed. There were some injuries, mostly minor, but none of these injuries were as severe as the financial damage caused when the Minister of Finance and Gumdrops got offended when he was told that, because of his beliefs, he was not a, quote, true believer, unquote.
That's right. In response to questioning this man's faith, and yes, I know him from the congregation at the Paradise Palace, the minister has removed all gumdrops from the Tri-Counties. Oh, and he also withdrew all funding streams from the MGE's operational budget. And truthfully, I can't blame the minister. No one should ever tell a righteous man that his beliefs aren't true beliefs, because we all know that any belief is a true belief, regardless of deviation from doctrine for the sake of convenience. You simply don't question a man's beliefs.
So now, much-needed funding has ceased, causing necessary programs to grind to a halt. All because someone hurt someone else's feelings in an attempt to position themselves for election on a popular platform. Politicians playing chicken with real people's lives. It's all so disgusting.
And again, nobody cares what you think, B. And now, off to that Walking Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, Edwin Bondshift.
Thank you, Beatrice and Jake. It's me, your reporter of all things Hollywood, Edwin Bondshift. A place where petty disagreements only cost studios millions of dollars instead of completely shutting anything down. Not that I expect anyone listening to be of any help getting this threat of eviction challenged. Oh, right, your entertainment news. Let me see if I can find my notes. Oh, and they're under my whiskey sour, hang on. Steve O, notable self-harming superstar, recently opened up about his love for high-profile tattoo artist Kat Von D on Instagram. Said Steve O, I know it's crazy that I became a clean and sober, hybrid-driving, animal-rescuing vegan who's super into meditation. You know, one of my non-acting jobs was leading meditation sessions for wealthy folk in Beverly Hills, which was frustrating until Steven Spielberg walked in for a session. I really, really loved Super 8. Knowing that he was on the other side of my closed eyelids really bumped up the pressure. Anyway, Teresa Guidis and Melissa Gorga, professional cat fighters on The Real Housewives of New Jersey, ended their months-long feud in front of cameras for their Bravo series. They had a very real heart-to-heart as soon as Teresa arrived, said an anonymous source. I guess he liked the sessions because he kept coming back, and I became more and more nervous every time he showed. One day I got a call saying that Mr. Spielberg wanted to set up a private session in an hour. So I grabbed a leftover burrito from the day before and forced it down on my drive to the studio. Anyway, no one cares about that. Moving on. Rob Kardashian, notably out of the spotlight brother of the Kardashian family, was recently diagnosed with diabetes, a diagnosis which led him to becoming reclusive and skipping his workouts and regular appointments. It is reported that his doctors advised a drastic change to his lifestyle, especially his dietary habits. I mean, it could have been worse, but it could have gone so much better. I get to the studio and change in my most comfortable meditation attire, but I don't feel quite right, you know? In the room, it's just Steven and I. Get settled in and start the routine, and my stomach starts to churn. That's when I remember that I didn't have Tex-Mex for lunch yesterday, but 2 weeks ago. I didn't have much time to wonder whether or not the burrito was safe to eat. My body gave me the answer from both ends. Steven handled it like a champ, though, I've got to say. He was really kind in refusing to discuss possible roles he might have for me in upcoming films. After ending the session early, I headed home. I never went back to that studio, and Steven never called me back. I'm pretty sure he blocked my number. Do you know how hard it is to get your phone number changed? Look at that. That's all from what's left of Hollywood from me, Edwin Bondshift, to you, dear listeners, here at KUSA 9999. Back to you, Jake. Should have never eaten at the Beacon Tex-Mex place.
Boop, 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 boopity boop, boop. Boop, boopity boop, 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 boopity boop, 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 boop.
Hey there, Artie, old pal. What you singing?
Oh, hey, Bing. I didn't hear you come in. I was just singing along to some song in my head.
Ha-ha! Sounds a lot like how I sing when I'm walking the dog, or, you know, mixing up a fresh, delicious jug of OJ. Bop-boppity-bop-bop-ba.
So, what brings you to my room today, Bing, old buddy, old pal?
Artie, I came because I'm worried about you. We all are. You can't seem to keep your hands to yourself, you yakety-schmackety, blah, blah, blah. I want you to know that if you don't calm your mind, you'll never get out of here. If that happens, the bad one will have to take over again. Blah, 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 yakety-schmackety, dark side, blah, blah, blah. OJ, do you understand what I'm saying, Artie?
I think so. You want me to think quietly and think about how I'm going to bust out of here.
Sure, without hurting anyone.
Without hurting anyone. Scout's honor. Wait, what if they've had sex before marriage?
Well then, Artie, I gotta tell you, they're hardly human. They can be considered collateral damage, my friend. Go forth and boppity-ba, yakety-schmackety.
A voice of reason for Artie. Truly inspiring, Bing. I admire your views on disowning children who ruin their bodies out of wedlock. Now for more good news, we send you over to the intrepid Rick Beckley.
Rick, this is huge.
Thanks. Wait, what is?
The government. They're shutting down.
Why?
I don't have the whole story, but apparently many political hopefuls and elected officials have been coming out with their actual beliefs.
And?
Well, damn, I didn't say it made sense. That's just what the word is. This could be a huge story for you, for us.
With all due respect, if you want a real story, how about the fact that our economy is spiking due to that 3D image of lined paper that new printer is pumping out, huh? Now that's a story.
That's not a story, Rick. That's just stupid.
Whoa! How's that stupid?
Because it's paper.
Yeah. 3D paper.
All paper is three-dimensional. Any sheet of paper you get at Walmart is three-dimensional.
You're embarrassing yourself.
Only by corresponding with you.
Thank you again, Sarah, but I was being derogatory. Walmart doesn't sell paper. Duh.
Look, see this notebook?
Yes, and?
All of the paper inside is three-dimensional, every single sheet. I'm not even sure what that 3D printer is doing other than spitting out paper.
Okay. If they're three-dimensional, then why are the pictures you draw on them 2D?
Because the pictures are in 2D, Rick.
Really? 2D pictures on quote-unquote 3D pieces of paper. That's impossible.
No, that's how dimensional space works.
Maybe your space, but definitely not mine. You should try reality sometime, Sarah. Pretty awesome over here.
How is that? I give up. Let's run with the government story and get out of here.
Fine.
Stop doing that. You know Tyler has to catch that on the 7-second delay and clean that out so the listeners don't hear it, right?
Silly, Sarah. This is live. Plus, Tyler isn't even here, in case you didn't notice. Wow. Long night for you last night? You're seriously off your game. Anyways, Rick Beckley here, and we can all thank our increased economy on a little 3D printer that prints out. Ready for this?
Oh, you're an idiot.
That's right. 3D lined paper. Don't forget to rush out and grab yourself some today. Or maybe tomorrow if you can't get there today. This has been Rick Beckley, KUSA 9 News at 9. Saving the world. One story at a time. Studio.
If I believed in angels, you would be one, Sarah. Well, listeners, we can finally report what you knew was coming all along. The MGE, devoid of any funding, has officially shut down. No money for any of a multitude of necessary and important programs is available. Our government has literally stopped working because grown-ups are mad at each other for insulting each other's imaginations.
Now that's just inappropriate, and station management would like to take this time to apologize for Beatrice's insensitivity.
Insensitivity? Am I the only one who is worried about all these people who depend on that funding to survive?
Oh, Beatty.
You do it again, and I'm putting Drano in your coffin.
I'm talking about programs for the poor, the elderly, and for those in need. They're not getting the essential support to survive, and now we're getting word that government offices around the Tri-Counties are closing their doors and sending employees home. Our government is shutting down. All over what?
Unquestioning faith, Beatrice. And I, for one, couldn't be prouder of my representatives. You know, listeners, not everyone is going to understand it. Hell, even those that understand it might not like it. But that's not what's important. What is important is that in times such as these, we as a community, as a people, transcend our childish differences for the greater good. That we rise up. In times like these, we must all become utilitarian in our worldview, lest our selfishness become the catalyst for our demise. When we think we can see the unseen, know the unknowable, we embrace anarchy. But when we give ourselves over to those we trust, unhesitatingly, we develop into something more splendid, more magnificent than we could ever be on our own. Now is not the time for us to look inward for the answers, but to seek guidance in the exquisite judgment of those appointed over us. Our community needs each and every one of us to unite behind a common cause, for without doing so will surely mean our demise. Listeners, this isn't a period of sumptuousness of scruples. If we don't sacrifice and act fast, we may not be given time to act at all. It's our choice to make. So, while you're pondering, remember, stay calm, and calm we shall stay.
Have you ever wanted to determine the course of someone else's life? Have you ever wanted to play God with other people? Well, now you can. We here at Atheist Apocalypse are going to give you the opportunity to choose the ending for this season. One of the neat initiatives that we here at the show do so that you can be part of the story. Head over to patreon.com/Atheist Apocalypse. Become a monthly donor. Set your donation limits to a level that you're comfortable with, and know that every single dollar that you've contributed to this show will count as a vote toward how you would like to see the season end. This is a neat little way that we would like to involve our fans, our audience. We want to know what you want to have happen to these lovable characters. So head over to patreon.com/atheistapocalypse today, become a patron, and get that vote cast. We want to thank you for your download and listen, and hope you're enjoying this season as much as we are.
The Atheist Apocalypse podcast is a Paul Sading production. You can find more information and links to support the show's Patreon campaign at www.atheistapocalypse.com. Today's episode was written and edited by Paul Sading, Brian Bristol, Jeff Vanutzis, Jay Crowfoot, Deborah McTaggart, Steve Bateman, and Dan Kokola. It was produced by Brian Bristol. The music and sounds were created by Jessica Moe. You can find him at theloststateofmind.com. And Kenichi Ohm, which you can find at KENICHIOHME.bandcamp.com. The voice of Venice was Donna Schell, creator and host of the Big Chesticles podcast. Fabrice was played by Joseph Schomberg. You can find him at his blog, thepromenader.blogspot.com. Whining Willie and the Hotline Operator are voiced by Dave Curry and Steve Hayes of This Atheist Life, which you can find on YouTube. Be sure to like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Apocalypse Podcast and follow us on Twitter at AA Podcast Show. We would like to thank each and every one of you who supports the show to keep it alive and well, which is more than we can say about this post-apocalyptic world we have created for you.